to non-traditional headspace, or NTH, like we call it. Hello, everyone who's listening and watching, humans and non-humans. We're going to have a very special guest today. His name is Hugo, and Hugo is going to be sharing a lot with us. We're going to divide this in 2 episodes because I think that we have a lot of material to go through. Thank you, Hugo, for joining me today. How are you?
Hello, Dennis. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I'm doing great. We talked about this for over a month and I'm thrilled to be here. Let's do it.
Thank you. For the first episode, which we're going to define it as the journey through broken attachments and healing. We're going to start with a brief introduction. Tell us a bit about you, your background, and not to give it a black paint to it, but struggles, which I think it's something that we all go through, and certain issues that you have encountered through your life journey. Can you please go ahead and tell us a little bit about you?
Sure, yeah. My name is Hugo. I am a physician, a doctor. I was born in Tegucigalpa, which is the capital of Honduras, but I lived mostly all my life in San Pedro Sula. I just turned 34 and I am in a journey right now to finding myself, which I'm super excited, as Denise said. And I really like the title, by the way. It's quite spot on. I come from a story that happens to a lot of families. My dad is from Costa Rica and my mom is from Honduras. I have just a younger sister. I'm older by 3 years. They met while my dad found a job in Tegucigalpa. My mom, she lived most of her young life in Tegucigalpa. She's an odontologist, a dentist. And one time in a bar, my dad was thinking of leaving the country. He didn't like the culture. I'm going back to Costa Rica the day before he was leaving the country.
The day before he was leaving, they met.
Yeah, I just learned that story, by the way. My dad is 10 years older than my mom. They started dating, got married. I was born. My dad found another job near San Pedro Sula. My mom started his last year of practice for a dentist, and they moved here. When we're children, we don't quite understand the dynamics of the family.
Yeah.
The correct word for me there is caregiver, because that's the story. We've known a lot of people that say, oh, my grandmother is like my mom. She raised me all
Yeah.
my life. And when I was 7 years old, my grandmother from my mom's side got diagnosed with colon cancer in a
Okay.
quite advanced stage. Surgery wasn't done well. The chemotherapy and circumstances led to complications and for her to die. My mom and my grandmother had a really close relationship. After my grandmother died, my parents got split and violence in between, and they got separated.
So something happened when your grandmother died that made it more evident the issues that probably your parents were having, and they decided
Yeah.
to go separate ways. Both of you
Yes.
had to go through the separation of your parents.
Yeah. I had vivid memories about that time. I was there and I saw my mom go through everything and I saw my dad go through everything. And my mom has always been really nurturing, trying to do her best. I truly admire my mom and love her with all my heart. And my dad, it's a little bit more cold and harsh. Now I understand that that comes from a very conflicted family and very
Okay.
conflicted situation in his younger age. Sometimes we just see people and they're just the way they are. Some people, they like to be hugged. Some people are more close. Some people are more like far apart. They don't like physical touch. My dad was really harsh, not in a physical way, but in the way he was with words, especially. And I was just a kid. And my sister, my mom was really close with my sister. They spent most of the time with her together. Me, I always felt in between.
Yeah.
As I grow, is talking in the future, where we're going to talk in the other parts of the podcast,
Yeah.
I understood that term of manipulation. People always think that manipulation is just like being like a bad person, like you see on Disney, whatever cartoon or series you like. There's always a villain. There's always the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
So we all do manipulation, and most of it as our language unconsciously, because that's the way we were raised. I like the term normality and being normal. That's not normal. Normal has changed through history. It was normal before to people to die in the early 20s when they had the 20s,
Yeah.
or it was normal before that people got gastrointestinal disease and there wasn't any medication. Normal was before that people live in caves, etc.
Yeah.
As time passes and people evolve, we have another tools, we have another opportunities, circumstances that make us change that. And I truly like that because our experience and one of the things that I find it truly inspiring and truly relatable because the platform that you have for the topics and the people that you're targeting, obviously I feel connected with that.
You're a
And for
millennial.
us,
You're a millennial.
normal for us was, for example, going to the main telephone company in Honduras
Yeah.
was Hondutel,
Yes.
for telephone, right? If you wanted to make a call, since I make calls for another country, was
I
you got
remember
to
that.
go to the place at an hour that you get by a letter or a telephone, whatever, and you tell the people this day, this hour, I'll be here. And then you call.
Yeah.
Normal. Now, with the phone, we have every single bit of information. I'm in
Yes.
Honduras right now. Denise is in France right now. And it's truly amazing. We're talking like we were in front of each other. That's normal right now.
Oh,
It only
and
has,
by the way, just to make a parenthesis for people listening, Hugo is plurilingual. Actually, he's very smart. He knows a lot of languages. You also speak French, right?
I
Yeah.
love learn French, yes,
Tu
yes.
parles français.
Français, oui.
Cool. No,
I
I just wanted people to know that because it's amazing that you were able to almost self-teach yourself languages. You're talking about what is normal and what is not normal, but normal, like you say, comes from the perception of everyone, I think, how we define normalcy these days. And it's so funny. I totally relate to what you're saying. You just made a comment about the cell phone situation. And I had this conversation 2 weeks ago with a friend. I told her I would have never imagined myself using a cell phone where I can have basically half of my life in an apparatus. I depend completely on using my cell phone these days. If I want to do bank payments, if I want to call someone, if I want to search for old emails, I didn't even have a cell phone until my last year of high school. That is so funny. I totally agree with you. Define normal, right? What is normal?
yes, it's fluid. Our life is fluid. The way we think, the way we do things, the way we react to things, the way we to try. We can be fluid in a negative way, or we can be fluid in a positive way, or we can just stay in our path. Yeah, it's all in there. Before we have beepers and then our Walkmans and then every single separate, then the digital cameras, and there was a boom by that time. Everybody wanted one. And then we have all in one single apparatus.
Yeah.
And that's normal right now. But that's the time that we live right now. And we need to adapt.
Yes.
The reason that we as a species are the apex predator, our capacity to adapt and reconstitute ourselves always with the tools that we have by in current times.
You were sharing with us how these early experiences in your younger life have helped you in some way to shape who you are now. And of course, with these, you described hard situations that you're not the only one that has gone through these. It's not easy. I did not happen to live anything like that, but I have friends that have gone through it. I have family that has gone through it. And I can see from the outside how hard it can be on the children. Can you tell us a little bit more about how this affected you and what coping mechanisms did you grow when you were going through all of it?
Yeah. Okay. When we are born, we are a clean slate. We are like a brand new computer with only the basic operating system, no apps installed. You learn that, okay, when a woman is pregnant, they say, okay, you need to talk to your child. You need to sing to your child. You need to interact with the child because truly thanatology is the part of the studies, the part before we were born, okay? The fetus, the embryo that is developing inside the mother's womb is interacting. And every single change from a mother that happens will affect directly the child. If the mother uses substances like alcohol or any kind of drug, it will have a direct impact on the child. Neurological, physical attachment is the bonding that we do with people. We, as a coping mechanism, we, as the mechanism for us as a human race to survive, we learn that we need to be together for us to thrive, to be alive. For us to survive is for us to be together, especially the child between, like I told you, before he was born, and especially 2 or 3 years. There's some information that says even though you can form that even at 11 years, because you have to understand children do not have a filter. One of the things that I really love about the last podcast that you had with Marcella, you were speaking that when the child is scared or the child is sick or the child is happy or angry, they just feel it. They do not have a filter because their
Yeah.
brain is showing development, their body is showing development. And they see the lives through the lenses of the people that take care of them. That's a
Yeah.
common conception that happens in the world mostly, that people think, parents think, caregivers think that children only need food and only need a shelter.
Like
And we
basic
are
needs.
not,
Basic needs.
yeah, that's a classic phrase that they say, yeah, but you have food and you have a shelter. What else do you need?
Yeah.
Well, that's a super extremely common phrase.
Yeah.
We need connection. We need to be together. We need to be feel loved. We are all an attachment.
Yeah.
If the caregivers leave you and they are apart and wait and you turn around the kid, it will start crying. Something that happens usually in my practice. I see some children that when they're with their caregiver, they're super happy and they're chill. But when they see someone they have never seen in her life, they start crying
Yeah.
because they see that as a threat in their subconscious. That's our nervous system telling you danger.
Before we go into that, it's pretty clear that you have decided to pursue a medicine career. You're making it clear with all the information that you're sharing with us. You also mentioned the key word that I think is going to develop into the three things that you just mentioned that are consequences of lacking a support system because you were unattached in the right way to things. The word attachment, I like that. I like that you're mentioning that. Because you have been studying medicine, you are able to help us undergo deeper about explaining how we behave, trying to connect to what you started sharing with us in the podcast about your upbringing, right? Is there something in particular that you identify with? What type of attachment or consequence of attachment did you have from having your parents divorce and everything? So just
Yeah.
tell us more about that.
Yeah, sure. I am anxious. Yeah, that's the attachment that ancient ambivalent is the current term. Ancient attachment forms when a children, in an inconsistent way in their emotional needs, became anxious because my dad was emotionally unavailable. He was harsh with me. He didn't was affectionate. And my mom is the complete opposite. My dad didn't help us economically. My mom had to take all the responsibility for having between a divorce and her mother, who was her best friend, dying, is another place and having two little kids. So that happened to me. And through time, I understood that I needed more connection. And that caused me a trauma. That caused me anxiety because I didn't have the reassurance that I wanted. And that obviously affected me as I went through life. I always had a problem with my weight. I was almost 400 pounds
Almost
and I
400
was
months. Wow. Yeah.
yes, in my mid 20s. I was
Mhm.
really young. And in time, I understood that was one of the mechanisms for me to protect myself. If I am bigger, I can protect myself. So I learned as a coping mechanism that I didn't have to cause conflict.
Mhm.
I was always walking in eggshells.
Yeah. You were
And
trying
that's not,
to you were trying to be the perfect child, right? Like the child that doesn't cause problems to your parents because you probably thought that they were already having a lot of distress because of their situation. And I'm assuming this, you correct me, but maybe that was your way of trying to lessen or decrease the struggles that your own parents were going through. And it's interesting, but you said there's three possible consequences. One is anxiety, the result of lacking certain bond or attachment.
The other two are avoidant and disorganized. So avoidant, it's the counterpart of anxiety.
Yeah.
Anxious people have poor self-image, but good self-image of other people.
Yeah.
They put them last because they do not want to they cause conflict, and they are scared for people to abandon them, because
Mhm.
that's the idea that a child have, and that's truly subconscious. Most of our language is nonverbal. It's a tiny percentage of the word. You can see someone's mad or someone's sad or someone is having a bad day. You can see that, you can sense that we are energy, thermodynamics. Energy gets transformed and we are energy. If sometimes when you go through a place and someone walks in and you just turn around, you see that person and you're like, wow, that person's really attracting. Oh, your energy is super nice and you feel good and you feel attracted to that. How can you feel that? That's our body. That's our nonverbal communication. That's
Mm.
it's truly interesting. So in a child, an anxious one has that they have a low self, because all the disorganized, all the insecure types of attachment are insecure, like the name says. Okay. So our
Yeah.
security is with ourselves, and we put other people's needs before us, before ours. The avoidant is the counterpart. The avoidant had an inconsistency between their parents, that in that bond, they didn't have the opportunity of the anxious, that in a way they have that bond. But in avoidance, the children, when they try to be vulnerable, angry or sad, feeling scared, and they were trying to get that reassurance, that security for their safe haven of their caregivers, they weren't taken. They didn't have that. They were completely cold. They didn't care, or was minimal, or as the name said, it was inconsistent. Maybe they get them, maybe they didn't get them. What the children learn. The child was, okay, when I am vulnerable, people are not there for me. I cannot be vulnerable. What they do, they take those feelings and they keep it deep inside of them, because every single time they try to be vulnerable, they try to express or receive some kind of feeling, they did not get that in a consistent way.
Yeah.
Become people of a perception that hyper search on themselves, because they become little tiny adults. They become really, truly independent when they were little, because they knew, they understood with their view of the world. And by that time, they're in the brain development that they could not trust other people.
Oh
And
my
that is,
God, I heard describing a lot how I am. So it's scary to hear this, but it's nice
yeah.
to understand where it's coming from. Yeah.
One of the things that I like before going through the rest of these parts is that there are people in the world. First of all, if you have this kind of attachment, you're not broken. That's just a way of your body protecting yourself. Our nervous system is trying to always protect us,
Yeah.
always trying to make us alert of danger. In my case, as an anxious person, trying to be for a more secure attachment. So I
Mhm.
try to keep people with an avoidant attachment style, is since they did not learn to trust people. They have a high image of themselves because they feel like they're truly independent, and they have, in most cases, a self perception of being super secure, because I
Yeah.
am truly independent. I can handle all myself. No, all people are meant to be attached. All people are meant to be with someone else. I'm not talking about having a relationship, but being together. If
Yeah.
we get along, we go crazy, like truly, deeply mental, unstable crazy. That's just the way they are. That's a biological thing. We cannot control that.
Yeah.
For that to happen, the avoidant, they feel that since I am independent and I can do all by myself, I cannot trust others, have a high perception of themselves, but they have a bad perception of other people because they think people are not reliable. I cannot trust them. I will do it myself, because
Yeah.
that's the way that they learn.
I think going back to the fact that I feel a bit identified, not completely, but somehow identified with that one, the avoidant. Do you think it would be also a result of the becoming less empathic? And I I happen to be less empathic. I don't have empathy for a lot of situations. And that's probably because that coping mechanism of someone like that is to build a wall, not to have people enter as easily as they should. Mm.
Yeah. And that's quite frequent for an avoidant person. Why that happens, we cannot control our feelings. You
Yeah.
cannot go through life feeling angry and wanting to punch every single person just because you're feeling angry. You cannot do that. Or when you are sad and you want to cry, you want to go to a middle of a room and start running, start crying. You need to
No. Yeah.
learn to control your emotions and try to control their emotions. But what happens when the people with an avoidant attachment style try to be vulnerable and try to understand those feelings, and the people that their caregivers neglecting them in that way, even though they were truly amazing parents in other parts of the children's life, they do not understand that part because they were not taught that part. They understood that feelings are scary.
Mhm.
If you cannot control your own feelings and you can not be sentimental in a way they say it, like in our culture, that sometimes people think that's a vulnerability that it's not. We are
Yeah.
meant to be like that. How can you understand other people's emotions if you can, even if you don't know your own, if you don't know your wants or your needs? By talking about this attachment theory, and that we have to remember, as you said, that you feel in a way avoidant. It's like a spectrum. Life is not, life is, there's a language term that it's the atomic language is when people talk in black and white. Okay.
Mhm.
So you're always here, you're never here. You're always angry, you're never angry. You're just black and white. There's either this or either that. No,
Yeah.
and flexible. But no, I think that life is a scale of grace.
Yeah.
You can go from black and white, you have your limits, and there's a lot of things that are in between. That's the grace. So that's the spectrum, right? That's a
Yeah.
definition of spectrum. So you can be in, you can know people that are extremely anxious, or there are people that are extremely avoidant, or people that are anxious, and you can see that. And the middle will be getting to it, being in insecure attachment. It's quite important for people to understand that being secure is not that your self-awareness, you're doing things and you can do that. You can be secure in other parts of your life. You can be extremely secure in your work. You can be extremely secure with talking with your friends or that.
Yeah.
But when you have relationships,
Yeah.
romantic relationships, it's completely different. Or you can be, there's a phrase in Spanish that it translates that you are a sunshine outside and you
Yeah.
are an eclipse inside, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I know it.
You can say that with your family, you are a type of person, and with other people, other type of person, over your work, another type of person, because you can have different types of attachment because that all comes back to trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma is a distressful experience. What happens to trauma, it's how you react to it. It's the way that you feel with it. Trauma, it's just a term that I learned recently, that people think that trauma is only big T trauma, like famine or abuse
Mhm.
or rape or war, or in on our case, for example, to be relatable here, or when people immigrate to the States and what's happening in the United States, that children get separated from their parents. They are put in cages. Imagine a children walking or going through a bus to their country and going through all that and going through a river. And that's
Yeah.
inhumane
Yeah.
circumstances. And then the people that they care about, they're taken away from them. And then you see a lot of children and in a cage, and people speaking a language that you do not understand. Can be a way that you experience a situation that teach your central nervous system how to react to experience. It's how you experience. And that depends within the age. That depends between if you were more developed. That depends if you have some kind of support. For example, you have the parent, maybe the mother is an alcoholic and maybe the father is a narcissist. You have a terrible nucleus of a family for you to grow up, but you have three children. Every single children experience trauma in a different way.
Yeah.
No one's the same. No one's the same. Or even though you see your parents very consistently, you can see that even though the parents were not emotionally available there, or the children that are middle children that they didn't have all the attention because they have the firstborn and they have the younger one that needed more attention, and they may have developed the same circumstances. They were given the same food, bought the clothes in the same place, traveled to the same place they traveled, but experience the hard situations differently. That's why
Yeah,
some, if you have brothers or sisters, you might know that, you might understand that.
I
So
do.
that's,
I have more siblings, so I do what I do understand what you're explaining.
yeah,
I'm understanding why a lot of my siblings behave the way they do now because of what
but
you're sharing. Yeah.
yeah, that happens between attachment. They do not know to process feelings because when they try to understand their own, there was no guidance. And that is taught in our subconscious that we cannot be like that because we will get hurt. That their parents, when they try to feel that way and be vulnerable, they say, "Do not bother," or "Stop bother. What do you want?
Yeah.
You ask too much," or they just ignore you.
Yeah.
That's truly painful. Imagine you be a little person and you're scared and know what you do. You go to your comfort place, and when you're scared, your dad or your mom or whatever, whoever is taking care of you, do not bother me. How do
Yeah.
you cope that? How a mind that is in constant process, and that part of our brain is a part that is in our frontal lobe, that it's called the prefrontal cortex. I just learned this. The prefrontal cortex is the one that help us understand emotions, feelings, making decisions, social behavior, even working memory, that short-term memory that can help us
Yeah.
with that. And that part of our brain stopped developing between mid to late 20.
Wow. 20s. That's why we don't know how to explain sometimes why we come up with certain attitudes and behaviors when we're young. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Mm.
Yeah. And imagine that's when we are old enough to have that fully developed part of our brain, but a little kid that it's even more underdeveloped, how can that react to that? So if you cannot understand your feelings and you think that having feelings or expressing feelings, it's not a safe place, how could you understand others? It's
Yeah.
truly difficult. And that's a learned skill. The children is not born. The children is born to attach, to bond, to understand, to live, to be happy, to be taken care of. But they weren't given the tools. And that will happen. That will happen to the avoidant.
Yeah.
They push people aside before they
They let
push
them in.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have a high perception of themselves, but they have had a hard time. They have a counter capacity for dependency. They're counter dependent. Most anxious people are codependent. You can auto regulate when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling angry, you're feeling something. You can know, I'm okay. I'm calm. I can do this. But also, as we need to attach, you can also do that with other people. That's interregulate, okay? Interrelationship. That's why the inter attachment of a person with secure attachment is the healthiest one, okay?
Okay.
But if a person doesn't know to that, they say, okay, I can only cover myself. When I try to be vulnerable to other people, I get rejected. I
Yeah.
do the thing for myself. So they are truly career driven and they are amazing with that because they're truly independent. But when they have situations that need to be more vulnerable, especially with the most vulnerable relationship that you will ever have is with your partner, not with your friends,
Yeah.
not with your parents, if with your partner, because you are the most close with a person. If biologically you're doing what you're supposed to do, you have sex with a person, there's
Yeah.
nothing more connected than that.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's nothing more connected than that. So it's truly vulnerable. They have troubles because they learn through their experience, through their subconscious part, taking care of themselves to be more independent and do not trust people. And the last one is that disorganized is a person that they have a low image of themselves and a low image of other people because when they interacted with their caregivers, they were exposed to two situations, or
Mm.
they were happy to talk to them, to see them, or they were completely and truly the opposite. They were violent, or they were inconsistent, or they were inconsistent in a way of abuse. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the children didn't knew at what time, what kind of parent they will get, or the
Okay.
caring one, or the kind of caring one, or the abusive one, or the harsh one. So it's hot and cold, a constant hot and cold behavior that can come with abuse and big and extreme traumas. They do not trust themselves because they were not given the tools at all. And they cannot trust people because it was an inconsistent, uneven, unbalanced situation that they experience.
Hmm.
So that's the,
The
like,
third
like I
one.
told you, we're not broken. Yeah, the third one, we're not broken. We can fix that. Obviously, you need help with that, but it's the most unlikely of the three because it is the most volatile of them.
Yeah.
And
It's very extreme, that one.
it is extreme.
Yeah.
And I've learned recently that my dad had that one.
Oh,
And
wow.
because yeah, avoidant and also disorganized.
You can have a
Yeah.
mix of the three. Okay.
And since it's a trait that you learn, it's not that,
Yeah.
like I told you, we were born to be secure. You can learn that to be more secure. That's the purpose, that's the objective. But in different parts or even in your relationships, you won't forget about being that kind of part, even though you work on yourself, even though you go to therapy, everything, but you will get triggered by things because that's the way you see life. And the thing about this, and that's the part that I find most attracted to it, most amazed about this, is that there's people that go through life not knowing this.
Yes.
They just see.
I was going to say, like, all of this that you have explained right now, I think probably not even half of the population in the world take the time to learn it when they're older, or they just go through their lives ignoring it completely. They don't have access to this type of information. At some point, I think that we find people, and it might sound a little bit hard when I say this, but it's sometimes like children are raising children when it comes to certain adults that are raising children. And because they never had somebody explain any of this to them, or why do they behave the way they do and how not to replicate the same mistakes in their emotional paths to transmit them to their own children. This is absolutely eye opening what you're sharing today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. And as you said, to finish this part, that's true. People are emotionally unavailable. People don't want to get accountability of the things they do or say or feel because that's the only thing that you can control. What you say, what you do, and how do you react to your thoughts.
Yeah.
Because thoughts, you're going to have thoughts. You cannot control your thoughts, but you can control the way that you react to them. That's true control. You cannot control other people. You cannot control your children or your father or your mother or your partner, etc. Only you.
Mm-hmm.
And people that go through this, like you say, they're completely ignorant. There's a phrase that said ignorance is bliss.
Yeah.
They're completely, yeah. They don't know. They say people have to love me just the way I am. Yes, that's
Mm-hmm.
different. People need to love you if you are an outgoing person, or if you are a little more quiet, or you like going out, or you are a little more like staying home, or you're talkative, or you're more reserved, etc., or you are outgoing, etc. People need to learn to love that, obviously, because that's your essence. That's who you are.
Yeah.
People don't need to love the parts when you are inconsistent, when you're not reciprocal, when you are emotionally unavailable, emotionally immature, and having this information, because I've learned that more and more people are learning about this. The thing is, you can have the information, but what will you do about it? What will you
Mm-hmm.
do with the information? Will you work on yourself and take accountability? Because there's a phrase I truly love that it says, we need to reparent ourselves. That goes exactly what you were saying. You put it magnificently well. We need to reparent ourselves. Children are raising children. We need to be our own mother and our own father, and try to learn things that our parents did the best. Most of our parents did the best that they could. with
Yeah.
the tools that they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not about demonizing them. It's not about saying, no, because you were like this, eh, you are like that. But sometimes when you hear your parents' story and you learn about this and you were, wow, no wonder you are like that. No
Yeah.
wonder you feel like that. No wonder you are like that because trauma is
Yeah.
generational. Like we
Yes.
said, children and so on and so on. So what do? You need to stop the pattern. Our
Yeah.
true mission in this world is to be the best version of ourselves in every single way.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. And about what you're saying right now, unfortunately, older generations, I think it's not only that they did not have access to many things that we have access now, because right now we are overexposed to a lot of things instead. But I think that they also lacked orientation in so many ways in their lives. They did the best they could with what they had. And that is already recognizable. We have to recognize that. The only thing that I believe that we need for them to be more accountable of is to recognize that they should have shared a little bit more, even though they understood it late, because maybe now it's their own children explaining to them. You probably are explaining this to your parents now
True.
because now you learned it and now you're able to explain it to them. And then they might realize, oh, maybe this is the reason why I behaved the way I behaved when I was younger. But they didn't share a lot of that with us. They could have taken a little bit accountability, I think, on that and shared a little bit of those struggles with us. And maybe that would have helped the whole family nucleus to understand better their own traumas. And not speaking about the traumas, like you said, in a very tragic way, but these things are small traumas that we all have because sometimes we don't share enough with our families. Yeah.
Yeah. I think,
Okay. Hugo, it has been very educational what you have shared with us. And you shared with us about the journey that you had with your weight. I would actually like to understand when you say that you were overweight, what do you define as being? Because it's not only having a few pounds. Tell us about perhaps any insecurities that you had, self consciousness that might have aroused from that. And of course, how did you overcome that?
yeah, sure. Absolutely. Since I was a little kid, most likely I found food to be a comfort place. I was a quiet kid, didn't want to cause any trauma, so I stayed home, play video games. I really love technology.
What's your
And I,
favorite video game? What's your favorite video game?
my favorite saga is Metal Gear right now, and there was a series I truly love is The Last of Us. It's truly amazing, The Last of Us.
Okay.
And yeah,
I used to be a lot into video games when I was in high school. I had a little bit of an addiction too. I used to play Call of Duty a lot.
okay. Uh,
Yeah, my parents had to intervene. Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
You're really into that then.
yeah,
Yeah, I played
yeah.
today. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing. I didn't want to cause any trouble. Obviously, I felt insecure with my anxiety. And so I wasn't active. When you're a children and you're developing your body, there's these cells that it's called adipocytes. There are the fatty cells. So they're hormonal as well. We're not going to go into that. But there are the cells that capture, that maintain most of your fat, because fat is energy. Okay. When you have, depending on your age and depending on your height, you have an index that can tell you if you or your weight is okay, your weight is normal, or you are underweight, or you are overweight, and then obese. Okay. And then these different scales. Those cells are formed through our journey as a kids and young adults, adolescents. And there's a number that are formed, especially when we are really young, and they don't change. When I was a little kid, I used to get sick a lot, and they put me through a lot of steroids, and I developed a disease that is called Cushing, that it's an overexposure to steroids. And I became a fat kid.
Mhm.
But after that, I felt comfort staying home. I felt comfortable just being with me because I was really shy. And or other people were playing sports. And since I didn't have anybody that could teach me to play sports, my dad and my mom was trying to support us and she was doing her best. And she tried later on for me to be in sports, but I didn't learn those skills. I wasn't
Mhm.
coordinating in that way. So I didn't feel accepted. And kids are really harsh. And I suffer a lot of bullying because I was a kid that to have good grades and being a good boy and don't cause any trouble. And some kids have different experience, like we talk about, and traumas, etc. And they were truly mean to me. They
Mm.
caused a lot of trauma in me. And that happened in school, middle school, high school, etc. As time went by, I gained more weight. Okay. I have friends, but my friends were alike like me. They like to play video games. They were really active because our energy attracts the same.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, I really like a girl and I didn't feel confident because in that way, your parents, especially your dad, needs to teach you how to interact with other people. I didn't have a truly fatherly figure. My fatherly figure was my mom taking both sides, and I did not learn those skills. I wasn't secure enough. I felt unattractive. I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin. And how can you share something with someone else if you don't even love yourself? So I really liked this girl, and I was like, nope, the way that this happens is that I need to be skinny. I need to lose weight. My problem is my weight, and that's why girls don't like me, or why I thought that girls don't like me. And I started a journey. My mom helped me a lot. I went to a gym and I went to through endocrinologist and my dietitian and everything. I lost weight in my last year of high school, but that didn't help.
Mhm.
One of the things that people ask most of me, especially when I lost most of the weight, is that how do you do it? And just to go a little bit in the future with this
Yeah.
story, the losing the weight is not the hard part, but changing the way that you think about losing the weight, it's the difficult part. There, yeah, as the audience know, and there's surgery for losing weight, bariatric
Yeah.
surgery, and that's quite popular, and a lot of people do it. But you need to go through action with psychology so
Yeah.
that people change the thought of being a person and find culture or whatever relationship they have with food, as well as the body transformation. Because a phrase that I love is where the brain goes, the body follows. You
Yeah.
do not fix
Nice.
a person. I love that phrase. That's
Yeah.
from my own. And if you do not change the way that you think, if you do not change that, even though your body changes, you're still the same person. That happens as well with people with low self-image. If a woman feels insecure with her own body because maybe in an accidental way they do not feel attractive, they feel self-conscious about their body, and they say, "No, I will go to a gym, or I will get surgery and get implants in whatever part they want." When they do that, obviously they will get attention because that's what men or whatever women, that's what they like or they think they like, but the mentality is the same. The traumas are the same. The perception is the same. The low self-esteem is the same. The hardest part for me to change that people ask me that at the time that they asked me, I haven't changed quite the way that I have changed right now, even though that have the second part that I lost weight was quite recently. When I was a kid, I thought that she would like me because I lose weight.
Yeah.
And I understand that I was really insecure, even though my body looked slimmer. I went to university and the same happened. I gained all the weight that when I was finishing medical school, I waited almost 400 pounds.
Yeah.
I had relationships in between that wasn't an issue by that time. I started losing a lot of weight, not because of the relationship, not, but because I went through a phase that I was trying to find my path. I needed to enter my specialty and I feel self-conscious about a lot of things that I wanted to change. I went in my comfort zone that's staying inside my house. I went to a phase that I was dysthymic. Dysthymia is a medical term for long-lasting sadness. It's the preface, it's a previous part for a person to develop like a
Depression.
major,
Okay.
yeah, major depression. It's a disease that can be treated, thank God,
Mm-hmm.
that in the perception, in the criteria for its diagnosis, according to DSM-5, is people having suicidal thoughts. I didn't have depression, but I was truly unhappy. I told you before when we were talking before the podcast, there was this movie called from Eddie Murphy from the 90s, I think, that is called The Naughty Doctor. The
Yeah.
Naughty Doctor is this movie that I felt really related with that movie. That Eddie Murphy used a prosthetic and became really all obese person, truly smart, but was insecure. He developed a pill that when he took it, he became athletic and people noticed
Yeah.
him. And he thought that it will change his life. If people know the movie, have watched the movie, they know how it ends. But for people who are not, spoiler alert, it doesn't
Yeah. It
because
doesn't.
his personality, his essence was different. So I wish with every single cell in my body that I could have a quick fix, pill for the cure of all my unwellness.
Mm-hmm.
There was this time when with spoiler alert with Marcela. Marcela is my best friend.
Previous guest in the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, her podcast. Yeah, truly amazing. People haven't heard that. I love that episode, and she's my best friend. We've known each other since 2007, and I truly admire my friend and the journey that she's going through.
Yeah.
I truly. We went to the most remote part of our country that is called La Mosquitia, like you see on Discovery Channel, on National Geographic, like the Amazons or places like that's the way it is. We went to a medical brigade. I participated to a lot of medical brigades, and we're helping with a study with the University of the United States and with the League Against Cancer here in Honduras. We were collaborating, taking samples from a disease, not into details. I met somebody and I liked her, and I was 3 times fatter than I was before. But what really shook me what were the photos that were taken of me.
Oh.
I only stay home and did my stuff, work, study, etc. I saw the pictures of me and I did not recognize myself. Who's that person? Where's me? Now I see the photos and I see true unhappiness. And other people saw my picture recently and she told me, yeah, you look sad. But I took that place. I started talking to that person. It wasn't reciprocal. We got along really well, but more in a platonic way.
Mm.
She was really into sports and she got me to restart my journey, even though uh, that didn't become a relationship. She was the push that I needed in the right direction in our circumstances for me to start losing weight. I started doing in home because I didn't feel comfortable going other places and I invest a lot of money to have, that's what I do in my house. And I started doing a program that it's called Insanity. I did
Oh,
that before.
I did insanity before too.
Ah, you
That's
did
hard.
Insanity. Yeah.
It's
It's really
hard.
hard. It's
Yes.
really hard. By that time, that was 2016. By this time, I've done it probably, I don't
What's
know,
the name of the? It's Shanti, the
Shanti.
trainer.
Yeah. Shanti.
Yeah.
I love that. It's really
Yes.
amazing. For me, as an entertainer, he's the best.
Yeah.
And I started doing that. And then she was really into running. I did my first 10K with only, I was morbidly obese. I'll do it. Morbidly obese. I lost maybe 20 pounds in 3 months, no, 2 months, because it's a 2 month program. And I ran my first 10K. My body hurt in every single place. And I continue and continue. And there's this part that people ask me about. There's the other part of what I told you about the mental part about this journey. There's a term that we use in life in general that
Mm.
people romanticize. about things. And Disney did not help with that. Disney romanticized that. For the ladies, you have to be a princess, and a Chinese prince will come in a white shiny horse, and they will save them, and
Yeah.
you will go to the castle, you get married, and live happily ever
Ever
after.
after.
That phrase has caused so many issues in our culture, and
Still
so
the
because children that are normal, and for the man it has to be heroic, it has to be a shining armor, it has to be extremely polite, etc.
yeah,
Because that's the only way that you will get value. If you want, in another podcast, yeah, the opportunity we can talk about mental health and male
sure.
perception,
I
because
would love that. I would love that. Yeah.
it's a truly cultural thing that gladly in some places it's getting better. My dad used to say, "You're being a mama's boy."
Yeah.
And look
Or
at that.
vulgarly, you're being a pussy. That's what they would call
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. In
Yeah.
Spanish, yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. You're being a pussy. You're being
Yeah.
weak. Why are you weak? Why are you weak? Right?
Why are
That's
you
not fair.
crying? Men
Why are you
don't
crying? That's
cry.
not cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you a woman? Why do you cry? And that's a trauma. And we're going back to that. That's
Yeah.
trauma. Maybe they say that because their parent, their dad used to say the same thing
Especially in our culture,
in
for
our
sure.
culture. Yeah. This term, they're so machistas, they're male centered in that way. And we learn that. We can have micro that. Thank God my mom taught me as a little child about this. And I did not feel like that. But even though she has, we all have micro aggressions in that.
Yeah.
Either we want it or not, we do. And
With
you can hear that if you truly hear a person talking, you say, oh, that's not right. In that case, people ask me, going back through mental health and going back before that, is the perception that people used to tell me, how you stay so motivated and
mm-hmm.
romanticize about motivation, that you have to be motivated. We're currently ending this year, and you will see a lot of people by the end of the year, they will say, by January 1st, I will go to the gym and I will stop smoking and I'll stop drinking and I'll be more in a serious relationship and I will go to school, etc. Have you done that? Have you been true to your word? Have you taken care of the most important person in the world, the most consistent relationship that you will ever have? Have you taken accountability with yourself or other
Exactly.
people? Maybe you have. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
I'm
no.
guilty. I'm guilty too. I am the type of person that makes a list. And by the end of the year, of course, you're probably, have you seen the meme actually that you start overriding to make the phrase like, I will eat healthier. And then you scratch the healthier
Yeah,
and you just leave the part that says,
yeah,
I will eat
yeah.
because you didn't
Absolutely.
accomplish anything by the end of the
Yeah,
year. So I
yeah,
agree. We have to
yeah.
hold ourselves accountable more.
On our own bullshit.
Yes.
No one's going to save you. No one.
No.
Only
Yeah.
yourself. We're romantic with everything, relationships, that we will have the perfect partner, the perfect man, or the perfect woman, or whatever you're into, or you will find the perfect job, or the perfect circumstances, or the perfect friends. People romanticize. That doesn't
Yeah.
happen. Even if it does happen, it takes work because it's a
Yes.
decision. And that's the main word, decision. Motivation is ephemeral. It's not long lasting. It just takes a time where your thoughts match your actions. That's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can be motivated to do a lot of things and the thrive to do it. But at the end of the day, it's the decision. That's a self-reflection that I made because people used to tell me, how do you get motivated? And people ask me, how you do it? And I was like, it's not motivation, it's a decision.
Yes.
Look at this. Like you said on your podcast, you wanted to do other things. You wanted to go outside your comfort zone. Now you are in the country that you are right now, and you have to work a lot. You have
Yes.
to eat in other parts of your life. And that's a decision that we make. People may feel you put the alarm, you're really tired, and then you go to sleep, and maybe you had to do other responsibilities. And then you put the alarm, you have to wake up 5, 6, 7 a.m., whatever the time you get into your work. You just feel so tired. You do not want to do anything. Maybe I call in sick, maybe I want a mental
Yeah.
health day, whatever. In
Yeah.
Honduras, there's no mental health day, right? Away.
No.
For example, I hope they will have because it's really important to have mental health days. And you say, if I don't work, it's a normal part in our country that people sadly work by the hour, the main circumstances that people have. And if they do not work a day, or people that they sell things on streets or they work on the fields, because that's really common in our country with corn and coffee, etc. And if people don't work that day, they
They
don't
don't
get
eat.
money. They
They
don't
don't eat.
eat. Yeah. And do you think that's motivation? That's not
Yeah.
motivation. That's decision.
Yeah.
That's true decision. That's necessity decision. I'm
Yeah.
talking about losing weight. They're talking about people without minimizing my problem, because sometimes people say this like that, oh, but people are having worse. I'm not talking about privilege.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that, oh my God, I didn't got into first class. I went to coach and that was truly a horrific situation. I'm not talking about privilege. I'm talking about problems that you have. And you do not minimize your problem, because that is a problem. Being overweight has a lot of complications. I
Yeah.
get a high blood pressure, diabetes, I can get cancer, I can have a heart attack, or I could
Yes.
die, or I can have complications that I have to be, because it's different, that I didn't want it to get out of my bed.
Yeah.
So decision is what lasts. Seeing yourself. And I see people, they were asking, but how much have you lost? And since I always been a self-taught person, I have not taken recognition of the people that they have learned, because I learned through somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't have somebody else by my side doing it. I started researching and I started doing other programs. I started doing P90X because I needed weights, and I thought that, okay, that part is finished. And then I started other program, and then I bought more weights, and then I knew about yoga and Pilates and etc. and rehabilitation and doing stretch workout, part of yoga for me to prevent injuries. And I didn't have a personal trainer. I had to read a lot, watch a lot of videos from people that I respect their opinion, because sadly in our world, there's a lot of misinformation.
Yes.
I am not into TikTok. I know that a lot of people are into TikTok. I love Facebook. I absolutely love Instagram. It's my favorite, with Twitter. If you have
Yeah.
this conversation that takes 5 hours, but information that you can get in 30 seconds is not the same. Your
Yeah.
perception is better. If I'm going to have an opinion, it has to be with somebody that I respect their opinion, that is based in evidence, and people that I know that they know more about the stuff that they are talking.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about ego or pride, about people that truly know what they're doing. So I started researching on YouTube. I actually love YouTube, about people that have PhDs and masters are educating the part, and they explain how to do this and how to do this and which one is more effective, and how this one will help. And as I started doing that, I saw that people started looking at me different. Women started looking at me different, attention that I didn't have before. And by that time, I started learning about more self-confidence, because my body image helped my internal perception. But I knew that I was the same person, because one time I really liked someone, and I tell the part that I had girlfriend before, but in that time I knew somebody else, and I wasn't secure. I wasn't confident, even though I knew that people were flirting with me, women were flirting with me. It was
Yeah.
new time for me. I understood that I need to work on myself mentally. I started reading a book that I truly like. You have to know about something with information, or where you ask someone else's opinion, that you have to take the things that are positive, that are
Yes.
applicable to you, with humility, right? Not because ego. Why are you telling me that? Take accountability and try to be quiet and listen to someone who knows in that area, because every single person, even though they went to university or have a master or have a PhD, there are people that will know other things more than you. You are not
Yes.
know-it-all. That doesn't shift. That's completely egolatristic, in a place and in a bad place. You need to be humble to understand that people know more about stuff that you don't know. If you
Yes.
want medical advice of the things that I know, I can give you that, because I do not know it all. I like to study a lot, but I do not know it all. And I am humble enough to know that when I need help, I ask for help. Some doctors don't have that. these people, they truly help me. And I started learning about, there's this book that is called How to Be a 3% Man that helped me boost my confidence. I truly love that book. There's some things that I am not quite in favor of, but most of the book is truly a guide how to be more confident, not to be an alpha or sigma male, because there's such a toxic perception in this world right now. You
Yes.
have to be an alpha male, you have to be a sigma male. That's a good term. Or you have to be a high value woman. That's absolutely
Right. That's another one. Yeah.
yeah, that's another topic for to have later. That's a
Yeah.
toxic perception because you want things that you're not willing to give. You
Yeah.
have to give me that, have to be that. But what do you bring to the table? My looks.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
So
not enough.
no, what you have an accident, you lose that. It's what you bring from inside. And I had to work in my case on the outside and then the inside. And that's the path that I'm going through. I I have more weight than I had before when I was my thinnest, my most athletic. I still do. I get up because of the work. People ask me, what time do you have the chance to work out? And I tell them, I wake up at 4 a.m. or
Oh,
3:30.
wow.
Sometimes I've done it at 1 or 2 a.m. And people, why do you do that? Are you crazy? No, that's my decision.
Yeah.
That's my promise to myself. In my perception, it's not that I love working out. I enjoy it in a way of the results, absolutely. And the boost that it gives my endorphins, because working out clinically helps your endorphins to feel better, to have a more productive day, especially in the morning. And I knew that if I do it early, I don't have to think, I have to do it later. If I
Hmm.
wanted to do something in the afternoon, no, I can't because I have to work out, I have to go to the gym and
Yeah.
interacting with the things that I like. That works for me. People have to find what they work according to their life because it's really hard for a person that they have 3 kids and they have 3 jobs or 2 jobs and they ask you, because with my patients, how do I do it? There are some recommendations that can be done. And because how can you tell a person that has to work 12 hours a day and they go home, have to do dinner and have
Yeah.
to be accountable for their children or their family? How do you find time? And I tell them, and that's a tricky one. That's truly a tricky one. And they're talking about from a place that people that have it more difficult than me and for
Yeah.
other people that are listening. And I've learned from people that they go after in subsequential assessments that I had to give to them. And they
Hmm.
tell me, doctor, I try to do at least 15 minutes. That's something.
That's
That's the
something.
station. I wake up super early and to do that because what's the easiest part? Sit on the couch, have snacks, drink a beer, drink soda, etc. That do something. It's an accountability for us because all of this and all of this journey and all of this part and all that I'm going through is about learning the true meaning of self-love and true security is knowing that even though that you might find failure in the things that you do, you are willing to do it anyway. That's true security and not false security that I am so independent I can do it all by myself and I don't need nobody and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's talking about ego and that's going about hurt and that's going about trauma. It's just security that I know, even though there's a chance that I may not succeed in this part right now because life is not that it stops at that moment. Unless you die, you have other opportunities to do it. Maybe it's a really tough one and that's maybe it's a door that it's quite stretched for you to get in, but you have other opportunities. And that security and knowing, okay, I may fail, that this might not come, this might not go in a way that I want. I have to try.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true confidence. And that
Yes.
comes from true love because true love comes from a place that even though something happens, I will be fine. I can self-soothe and I can also feel comfortable to soothe. That's called interdependence with other people. Other
Hmm.
people can help me as well. Not knowing that I can do it all. You cannot do it all. You cannot do
Yeah.
it all because at the end of the day, we all want to be attached. We all want to be with somebody. We all want to, at the end of the day, go to our safe place. Safe
Yes.
place. It's not the place, it's the people that you share it with. You can have a safe place in Dubai. You can have a safe place in Paris, in Guatemala, in Honduras, anywhere. It's the people that you attach to. It's the people that you are near to you, the people that are important to you. There's a phrase that I truly like about this psychologist that has a doctorate in psychology. It's truly a incredible man, and he's called Walter Rizzo. He's
Ah, yes.
Italian. You know him?
Ah,
Yeah,
I read his books. Yeah.
Italian. Yeah, I'm currently reading one. And in this path that I'm going through, other part that we're talking about in a podcast, I started going to therapy recently to try to understand myself about personal situations that happen, to truly understand that, because I can control the part in working out and doing that, but I also need to take accountability in the things that I think, that even though I work so hard and I work so reading and learning and hearing podcasts and watching hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos and trying to improve myself, there's one part that I said, okay, I need the guidance of someone that studied in a part that I have an idea, but I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist, like a therapist, that I need to improve myself in that part. And I took that path, and that helped me as well in my practice. Because when I see people struggling with some things, because there's physical manifestations with that, you can see when someone's anxious, because we all present anxiety. Every single person has anxiety.
Yeah.
That we deal with anxiety. That's what differentiates us. That's the important part. How do we self-soothe, and how do we soothe with others? Thankfully, in the place that I work, there's a psychologist, and I see people without they talking to me, but I see their manifestations. I see the way that they behave and how did they react. And I am extremely aware of that in my empathetic way, to, to see them act like that. And I talk to them, and I see that they want to get better, but sometimes they do not know how to, because they
Yeah.
have diseases that affect their health, diseases that are affecting their mind, and we are a whole. There's a phrase that I love in medicine that it's called homeostasis. It's a biological term that, in short words, our bodies try to maintain equilibrium biologically, chemically, emotionally, socially, equilibrium. When that gets disrupted by any way, by a stressor or trauma
Yeah.
that goes into that, we have manifestations, and our body talks to us. They say, ding, ding, be careful. There's something wrong. Do something. And there's where the clinical manifestation happens. What do you think then is the main cause of assistance of people going to a doctor? What's the main cause? What's the main symptom?
Of anyone going to a doctor.
Yeah, the main cause, the main symptom that people, okay, I have this, I will go to a doctor because something's wrong. What do you think it is? What's the main
Oh,
reason you've gone to a doctor?
pain, like severe pain.
Yeah, yeah, pain. No, pain, because pain is subjective. If you tell me right now, if even though we're not in my practice, and you tell me backstage and you ask me, boy, I haven't been having some headaches.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that you have head pain. I have head pain, but the way that you process pain is different from me.
Yeah.
It's completely different from me. I have the perception of understanding, because at one time in my life, I had pain. I had headache. I understand what it is, but I am not the one with the headache right now. You are in your perception, and your perception goes through your own self awareness and your own things that happen to you. When patients go to my practice, to the place that I work, and they ask me, doctor, I want, and by the end, this will all come with a word to finish all this part about my journey about weight loss. And they ask me, doctor, I have what I ask you to come in, have a seat, good morning or good afternoon. How can I help you? And they said, no, doctor, I've been having some headaches, some back pain or tingling in my extremities, in my hands or in my feet. And I having difficulty sleeping or etc. Whatever symptom you're at. Those are symptoms. Or fever, because that's the second
Yeah.
most likely cause of consultation for any kind. The symptom is a cause of something else. Is perception of your body, is the awareness of your body to telling you something that shouldn't be here, is causing some trauma, some distress, it's a stressor, you need to do something, because if you do not do something, something bad is going to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
So the people, okay, I feel bad. I will seek, or they will seek self-help, or by the time they will seek somebody else, and they will go eventually to a doctor. When that happens, the patients want a quick fix. Give me a pill or give me something or whatever. I have to feel better. I understand. I have to be super empathic with my patients as well, because I know they're in pain. Obviously, I need to help them with that. No, but there's a world norm that no one in the world has to feel pain. No person has to feel pain. That's a complete rule in the world. I asked them, but sure, I can give you a pill, but I need to understand, why do you have pain? Why do you have headache? Why do you have different perception of your senses in your lower limbs? I need to understand that the pain is not the answer. The pain is the symptom that will guide me to the answer. That's why we examine the patient. That's why we ask the patient. That the most part of our examination is asking. We will ask for things to have a better understanding and investigate what's going on, because the pain is only a symptom of the main cause.
Mm.
And people only want a pill and to feel better. And most of the people that are for older generation, that will happen as well, because it's a cultural thing, because that perception, like we've talked about, is hereditary, and that people learn from what they see from their caregivers' eyes. And they tell them, okay, but I need to study you first. I cannot just give you a pill, because in that case, I can open the door and I can talk to the patients, the other patients, the 100 patients that are outside, and ask them, okay, who's here because they have fever? And raise your hands. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 80% raise their hand. Okay, take this pill, go home. No, every single person individually goes and talks to a doctor in every single place in the world. Well, that's how
Yep.
it's supposed to be, right?
Yep.
And that's not a quick fix. We need to find the root cause of the trouble, of the stressor, of the pain, of the trauma that you have. But that takes time.
Yeah.
And there are two things that you talk about. One, that it's lacking in this world. And like we say, I told you, and I told the audience, that we're not broken. We just need to reparent ourselves and work on ourselves and be the best version of ourselves. And is two things that are lacking in this world. The first one is empathy, the true empathy, not being like I told you, a psychopath, and try to understand, because that's a skill that you can learn and you can be better at that. Because I've seen people that they have little empathy, because I've talked to people that are really close to me, and they tell me, like you told me, sometimes I see people and I understand that they are having a bad time, and but I don't know how to react.
Yeah.
I understand that they're feeling sad, but I don't know how to react. That's because they're experiences that you can work with that. That's not a set in stone that if you want to, you can change, of course, obviously. But because if there's a will, there's a way. That I love that phrase as well. I had experience, and I have a friend that also has that. And he saw me that wasn't having a good day, and he went like Sheldon, when this theory that is called Big Bang Theory. Sheldon
Yeah.
has Asperger's and other things, and he works through the series through empathy to work with that. And but the beginning, and he used to touch learner in the shoulder and tell him they're there. That's his
Yeah.
way
And
to
that's
show
it.
support.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that support, because we need to understand that for people, because differently will be that he just walks and walks away. He just
Yeah.
sends us and walks away. No, he tried to be there in the way that he could.
Yeah.
Sometimes for people, they don't understand. They think that's not enough, but they need to see that he keeps trying. He's trying
Yes.
to be and it's a process, and that's caused with the other part about lacking empathy, not just being self-centered, and you are the center of the world, and people have to give you everything just because you exist. And that's that perception that I've seen from younger generations, obviously also from our generations and before that, but especially recently, because we live in the world of the now. If you are in countries that have the service, you can have whatever the hell you want in minutes. There's Amazon Prime. You can have things in 1 or 2 days. Whatever. You live in the world that now, and that comes from the part that they give you. It's a full circle about this. You can have every single little thing that you want. You want to talk to your mom? You have your mom? You can do it. You want to have a conference with with the people of your work, you can do that. You want to buy something because it's near Christmas, you can do that. You want to book flights because you want to travel to your home country, you can do that all here. It's that now we talk about the phone, the example,
Yeah.
and that culture, that new normal is for people to lack in patience.
Yeah.
Patience is a virtue that is, and I talked about with my therapist recently, and I told her some sensation that I have because people they want it now and just now, and if it's not now, it doesn't matter, and they get so self-absorbed and so self-obsessed. They don't want to do a process, and life is a process. I know that we'll talk about later about a specialty and everything, but life is a process. And there are people that they think if I don't have everything before my 20s or my 30s or my 40s, and they have crisis, there's their medical terms, they have midlife crises,
Yes.
and there's new terms of past the midlife crisis or whatever. I know someone that had a crisis because she was turning 40 years old and she couldn't, she was truly self-absorbed. She
I'm
was really
about to have that crisis. I'm about
ah,
to turn 40 eventually.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't look for it. People has lost the virtue of patience and knowing that everything is a journey and a process that you need to wait for things to happen. And there's a difference between being patient, and that's a subordination that I made, and being passive. That's completely different. Patience is a virtue that knowing if you can do things, and even though you may fail 1,000,000,000 times, if you keep trying, you want to do it, eventually, one way or another, you will have success either in the things that you want or the things that you need, because that's different. And the other part is for people to understand that it takes time.
Yes.
It takes time for things to come. People, when they have their crisis, they sometimes they get so self-obsessed in the future. You cannot control that. I don't know what I will have for dinner today.
Yeah.
And I am at my house. How can I control something that will happen in tomorrow or some other day? I can even die in my sleep. I don't know,
Yes.
a meteorite, etc., an earthquake, whatever. And we do not have control of that. And that causes so much stress, so much trauma, so much anxiety because we both want to control everything. And that's lack of patience to understand there are things that you cannot control and things that you can control. And everything you can control, you have to take accountability and work your ass off and do the work on yourself in the things that you need improvement. And even though the things that you're truly good at, continue and continue to perfect them, because you can
Yes.
always do better. You can always be the best version of yourself. No one's going to save you. No one's going to do it. We need to re-educate ourselves and have the tools and try to have the tools to be better for ourselves and also for the people that we care about. For me to think that I needed a pill that will solve all of my problems, I understood through life that's not the case. That I'm a work in progress, but I take accountability of my actions, of the decisions that I made, and the corrections that I'm trying to make.
Yes.
And I think that people need to, if they're not in that path, try to have a conversation with themselves, because sometimes people, they don't want to take accountability. You cannot control that people. But in the same way, you don't need to tolerate that people in your life.
Yep.
You can choose who you want to be. Like I told you, the only person that's constant in your life is yourself. We all lost friends or people that
Yep.
false.
One, people move on with their lives, and you find yourself in different relationships through your lifetime. So I like what you
And
said a lot. The only consistent relationship you will ever have is with yourself.
your decisions. So having the patience, the considered process, and knowing that there's not a quick fix. People want a quick fix for losing weight. There's a lot of here in Honduras that what makes people do have diarrhea so they can
Yeah,
lose
yeah.
water.
The
Yeah.
teas, the teas,
Yeah.
the
Oh, very
Dr. Mink
popular.
tea or
Yeah.
the Herbalife teas.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah, that's absolutely, that's not the
yeah,
case. There are pills, there are shorties for pills, but you have to do the work. You
yeah,
have to do the work physically, and especially you have to do the work mentally so you can be prepared. I think a US program that is called The Biggest Loser.
yes,
And yes, people that they go through a boot camp, extreme exercise and extreme diets, that's not the way. That's absolutely a showcase for people to be entertained and not dealing with the problem. Obviously, that people have problems, they need to work like every single other person. Your weight doesn't define you. But people, I know that there's a culture of being body positive. Yes, people have skin marks and everything and other things that maybe they feel self-conscious and need to accept ourselves because the perception, like I said, of Disney or as well of the magazines in women or men that you need to look this way, you need to look that way. Yes, you need to be self-aware that that's not the word that you will have asymmetric parts. Women have asymmetric parts. One boob is not the same on the other boob. And that's
yeah,
normal. That's physical.
yeah,
Yeah, that's physical because sometimes women ask me that, patients, and I tell you, no, that's normal. No
yeah,
one's perfect.
yeah.
And there's perfection. There's beauty in imperfection.
But
People need to,
do you think that it all also resumes in not only trying to get the validation from society, but instead looking at it from the healthy part, being healthy, not only physically, but mentally as well? Like you're explaining, you have been explaining all along that with your journey, what you're sharing with us today, I think it comes to that. You have to come to terms that the right approach to do it is not to try to look for a quick fix, like you say, or validation for the wrong reasons that society imposes on us all the time, but to do it for yourself because you want to feel healthy physically and mentally. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I really have learned so much from everything that you have shared right now. And it's funny because can see myself making a lot of mistakes that you seem to have learned through your journey. Most of the people, I include myself there, we still find ourselves from time to time doubting and falling for the bait that society puts us. Like, you have to look a certain way. You have to look for that quick fix. We're trying to get the result without putting in the work most of the time. We want to look nice in the outside, but we're not working on the inside. So that will never change them. So
Exactly.
thank you. Thank you. I really liked this discussion right now. You have shared so many insights and important information that I'm sure that people are going to appreciate a lot. So thank you. Is there
You're
anything else
welcome.
that you want to say about this, about the weight loss journey, just to close up that segment?
Yeah. When I see patients that they go through and problem with their self-image and their weight, I try to put myself in their shoes. Well, I've been in their shoes in my way, different in the perception that they live that part of their life, because people always, and that happens as well with people with other types of problems, people that are really skinny, that have anorexia or any other disease, or have a discapacity, that they have a physical part of their body that it's not normal, but like people say, and they call out on you because they don't understand that you say people that has a difficulty walking or talking or whatever it is.
Hmm.
And and I tell my patients that I understand what you're going through. I've gone it through myself as well. I don't need to tell you that you need to lose weight because you see yourself in the mirror every single day.
Yeah.
You may think that there's a path, that a way that it's no return, but it's not a quick fix. It's not a pill for it. It's just work. And you can do it if you want it. Because if you don't take care of yourself, no one's going to. People
Yeah.
might give you a push for you to be better. Your parents in your partner, your family, etc., that you need to take ownership and understand that even though you are 500 pounds or whatever your weight is, there's always a way for you to be better. And if you think that that's something that you need to do, because that's only for perception, for health reasons and
Yeah.
chronic diseases can have repercussions that can get you killed. You can be dead for high blood pressure or diabetes. And if you really wanted to, you can do it. You don't need to share with anyone. You can do it for yourself
Mm.
because you can do it. And I think that people should understand that even though it may take time, is the most valuable time that you will ever invest in yourself, taking care of yourself and loving yourself and working on yourself. That's
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I like it. I might want to take it a little bit further on that, because you have given us the perfect example of what it is to have self consciousness because of your body image, right? I think a lot of people, 90% of the people on this planet, at some point in their life, they encounter themselves having some sort of self conscious thought about their body image because of the constant targeting that we have from social media these days.
yeah.
You know what? I can also relate it to a lot of what is happening now these days. And maybe this is just diverting a little bit about your personal journey, but I want to know what you think about it too. What about people, in the aim of trying to look for that quick fix, they get surgeries. You mentioned plastic surgeries or interventions that can help them with their weight loss or their outer image. But then you meet these people and you interact with them, and they're not nice people. They're just like the ugliest person that you could ever meet because they're ugly in the inside. So, what do you think about that? Because that's something I think that is happening today in society. A lot of people look beautiful in social media.
Mm.
I look at Instagram because I'm an Instagram person too. I'm not I am a millennial. So I'm not into TikTok as much as the younger generations are. Got stuck in Instagram. That's where I am. And YouTube. I have an addiction to YouTube. So I see those social medias and I see people who are beautiful. And I kind of blame myself for not looking the same way they do. Or I try to ask myself, how do they do it? Sometimes you realize it's all fake. Sometimes they're just altering their body image so that we think that that's how they really look and it's not true. And some people just do look nice, but they did things to take that quick fix. But are these the people that are the happiest? Are these the people who are really the nicest people we can meet? The true people that have a value of who they are for who they are inside? What do you think about that? Because I have this whole theory behind that, but that's my opinion. So I would like to hear yours.
By the way, I love that part. That's a topic that I been working in a way that I've been deterring myself from some accounts on social media, especially Instagram. That's an amazing point that you put. Um, Instagram for me is very personal. I only have people that I really care about, people that I want to keep interacting with them, and information for me to grow.
Mm.
Before going through that, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you think people do? What's the image or the perception that you think people put on their social media? What's the image that people put on their social media for other people to watch?
Yes.
What do you post? What do you
Very
post?
good
Okay.
question. Only the good
Story?
times. Only the good
Yeah.
times. Only the good
Yeah.
times. Only the times where you look perfect. And there's that joke also, that we sometimes have a group picture. Your friends look like shit, but you look nice. So you post a picture because you don't care about your friends looking like shit and you look nice. So you post a picture. you always have to look nice, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. So answering your question, we always post, I think, the better version of what we think we should look like.
The better version that you think that other people might like, I might
Yes.
add. Yeah.
Yes.
Not all people do that. We might do it more, we might do it less, but yeah, you said people do that. They always want to be the best and have the best life and have the best experiences and the best restaurants, etc. There's a concept that I learned that goes through attachment, but we're not going to attachment anymore. But it's a concept that I've always said that I understand more right now. That is about the mask. That
Yeah.
all the people, every single human being in this world that shall ever live and that will ever live will put on a mask. When I talk to my patients and I see them having symptoms of anxiety, and they see me calm, and this person in my life that used to say that when I am a doctor, I become, she said, caballero, gentleman, my gentleman mode, my gentleman persona. I always try to be really respectful. Always like, I hate disrespect, but I also try to be really professional and also being empathetic. And I see that people struggle. And when I put on about the therapy, I tell them, you see me here. I'm wearing a mask, obviously, because I wear a mask here and people are sick and I've gotten not less sicker, thank God, because we're in it, because there's not only COVID, there's all the other respiratory diseases. I tell them, you see me here. You see me in front of you, there's a desk, and there you are. And you see me calm. You see me self-centered in what I'm doing and being calm and being here to help you and my tone of voice, etc. The persona that I take,
Yeah.
the character that I take, the doctor part of me that I take. But you don't know what's going on with me. You don't know what's going on in my mind. You don't know the struggles that I have. I also feel, I also feel sad. I also have insecurities. I also have trauma that I'm working in situations and personal stuff that I'm working through that I'm thinking at the moment while I'm talking to you. Because like I
Yeah.
said, we can stop the thoughts, but I can control them, not react to them. And, but you don't see what's going on. That's the same with the test that I asked you for. I need to see what's going on in your blood, or your urine, or X-rays, etc. Because we need to take that mask off. And people in social media show us the mask that they want to show. They don't show their vulnerabilities. They don't show their traumas. They don't show their stressors. They just show what the oriental part of the the way that people see the world once they think they want to see what will sell, what's pretty, what's beautiful, and the perception of social media. Of course, it affects us. It, in my case, it doesn't affect me as much or affects me in a way that it did before. To trying to think, why don't I don't look that way? I don't understand that because I am me.
Yeah.
I don't look, I will look the best way, or I will feel the best way that Hugo feels, that Hugo can. The moment that you start comparing yourself with every single person, that's what social media does as well, you lose peace, you lose your center because you start looking outside what you should be looking at yourself.
Yeah.
Like we talk about your most important relationship to yourself. And people may do modifications even by surgical ones, or they can use AI, or they can use Photoshop or whatever they want to. But at the end of the day, like I told you, when people think, and this happens a lot with women, Denise,
Yes.
because women think, and I have a conversation that I had that went kind of like this. We were talking about some people that were a couple, and some friends didn't like the couple. I know the person, and they say that The person has studied a lot, has a steady job, has been truly working on herself, etc. But the partner had difficulties in the life. He has a different culture, different religion, etc. Some friends didn't like the partner because there was this comment, it's not at your level.
No.
Some female friends, yeah, it's not at her level. When I heard that comment, I asked, what do you mean about that? Yeah, because she works at that place and she's studying with that. And I told the person, what do you think the value of a person is? I talk with the same person. And I shared the story that he's been having a lot of struggles, but he's trying to work through them and be a better person. And because that's the important part for me.
Yeah.
That is the important part. I don't have the absolute truth, but that is the important part. Is like I told you,
Yeah.
passiveness against patience.
Yeah.
This is working. Maybe not at the same speed of the other person because there's a perception that, and I've seen the reels on Instagram and or Facebook, and like probably that's the shame that happens on TikTok. There's this guy that sometimes, or guys, they ask people on the streets, a woman, how do you rate yourself? I'm a 10. Yeah, I'm a 10. And a guy, I'm a 6, whatever. The guys that the more intelligent ones in a way, because they have ask better questions in a way, but why do you think you're 10? I don't know. Look at me. But what do you have? Look at me. And she starts trying to value herself by turning around or being a little flirty. And there's a perception in our culture, in the whole world, about what does a man have to give to a woman.
Yeah.
And the perception that happens a lot, that the man's salary is for the man and the woman, but the woman's salary is only for the man. Or what do you bring to a table? Myself. But the man has to earn this kind of money, or have this kind of job, or have this kind of car, or look like this, or be told like this, etc. And that's the information that people get, that young children get, and so on, and so on, and so on. And that's the Disney effect. That's an effect, the magazine effect that you like they told from, I don't
Yeah.
know, them or whatever men's child or women's child. And you see those women, so you see those personalities, because there's a persona. There's not a person, it's a persona. There's a character. And you see them, they think that they're so self-entitled that just because they exist, people have to feel gracious by their presence, feel so honored by their presence. But
Yeah.
what do you bring to the table? They ask for a partner that has this and this and this, but what do you bring to the table? You want a partner that is compressive and is reciprocal and has great communication, or is always there for you, and whose husband, if you want to get married, or he's a good father when I get married. But then you ask, or you're trying to find that person, but what do you bring to the table? Everyone sometimes makes a list. I want this and this in a partner. It's so hard, but what do you bring to the table?
Yeah.
Are you like that? Have you worked with yourself? Uh, have you taken accountability of your actions? And people on social media, they just show what they want to show,
Yeah.
because it's the easiest part. They think by showing an acceptance, and they think their value is based on the likes or the shares of the comments. But sometimes you know that the comments or the likes are from bots, or
Yeah.
you know that the comments are people that are trolls, or people that are trying to cyberbullying, or etc. They're so native and they find their own value on the acceptance of someone else. And then you hear that these people have mental issues, like most of
Yeah.
the people that have struggles or have this or have that, because you don't know what's going on with their persona. Being a persona on social media, if you will, I don't know, other influencer, everything, you're exposed to that.
Yeah.
You need to work on yourself to understand what really matters. Some interaction from some random person, I don't know, any part of the world that may or may not be a human, or your own perception. And that
Yeah.
all comes from your core self-reliance and your own core self-confidence and self-love. And
Yeah.
people, and that's the world that we're living. That's the way that things are right now, but you need to be more aware. And the things that I do social media is that I make a purge about all the accounts that I thought they were funny, or I thought that they were introducing positive things in my journey, and I started deleting them, including people, especially on Instagram. And all the people that I recently added are people that are doing the self improvement, but truly self improvement, because there's this perception that if you ask the universe, everything will come. There's a phrase in Spanish that is, there's this phrase in Spanish that is called "a Dios rogando y con el mar sonando."
Yeah.
Okay, there's a perception that in translate that if you want something and you believe in God or whatever you believe in, if you just ask them, it will happen. It will show magically on your door, and all your problems will be saved. No, you have to work on yourself. You have to work on that. And if you live in a world that it's all superficial, what kind of relationship or what kind of interactions you will have with other people,
Yeah.
the energy and the energy that you emanate, the persona you are in the journey you will track similar. And people need to know that there are influences in our lives being directly with people that we interact, people that are real for us, not personas. They have an impact. What kind of interaction? There's a phrase that I've learned that I heard that the quality of your life is delimited by the quality of the people that you have around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that should happen as well on social media. If you think that some account has an impact, a negative impact on yourself, when you keep getting exposed to that, what does it bring to your life? Is it better for you? Do you feel better by watching that? Do you feel self-conscious or insecure and that causes anxiety and stress? What do you want to do? You want
Yeah.
to be like that? Or you want to be the best version of yourself? Because you will never be that. You will never be that person. You will never be that tall, blonde, whatever. You will be you. You will be the best you. And
Yeah.
that's the most important. And being the best you is good enough. It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. That,
Wow. That was like a lot of good information because I fall a lot into the social media toxic cycle. I'm guilty. And I'm sure that a lot of people are in the same situation. Like, this is what we are exposed to right now, unfortunately. And there's sometimes a, an easy way of falling into these things. Ah, it's so easy. It's so easy to start the self doubt, the double overthinking if what you're doing is good enough for others. So yeah, but you're so strong. It's refreshing to hear somebody be so secure and strong about what they believe in, about who they are, believing in who you are. I have been saying this a lot, but you really have some way of inspiring others that I would like to encourage you to keep doing because I think you're doing a great job right now.
thank
So
you.
we're going to close up with segment 4 of this first episode. And it has to do with relationships and your experience. But this is just opinions, your opinion, my opinion about how we relate with others. You shared your personal journey that allowed you to grow and learn a lot about yourself. And that in return helped you relate to others in a better way, including personal relationships. And you also mentioned something that I also related to, which is why do we behave a certain way when we are with our partners, if we're dating someone? And of course, it has to do with all of this that we shared and discussed before, right? It's all a reflection of the things and decisions that we have made so far. And if we're going to keep being in a relationship or meet new people, it will probably reflect according to the work that we have done so far in ourselves. I have been in a relationship for years now. So it's a little bit boring. I'm sure that people don't really want to know about that. Being a millennial, being your age, being someone that has gone through so much and learned so much on the way. What has that reflected on with your relationships? You and I had talked about this before. You have used dating apps. That's something that for me, it's a whole different world. I am very, very old school. I am afraid of using a dating app because I also like a lot of horror and tetric movies and all of that. So my first thought is that somebody's going to murder me and
Sure.
cut me into pieces and Lord knows what. But tell me about your experience. I am curious about that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing what you shared. I think that we attract what we are used to as a child. Okay. If we are used to a secure base, you will attract people that are likes attract likes. Okay. And if you're used to chaos and troubles and everything, every single person will attract what feels normal to them. There's this podcast that Marcela shared with me about this woman that it's also on Spotify, that
Mhm.
is called Little Work. Sabrina, I missed her last name right now, but she's really insightful, best person that is in her own journey. And I feel related to the things that she says. And she exposed that her normality, her normality in her childhood was the abuse that she had mentally from and physically by trauma that hit her and her brother and sister. He was a narcissist, and the most traumatic relationship that she had was with a narcissist
Mhm.
because she found that chaos in the lenses that she learned and the way that her central nervous system learned that was normal, that was relatable, that what she attracted that. And she's in a journey of self healing and she's with someone that's more stable and more secure.
Mhm.
Thank God, was a narcissist as well. So in general, I think that people attract. There's a phrase that's kind of creepy, but it's true that people date their parents
Oh
in a way,
my God. That's horrible.
in a way, horrible. But not in a literal way. If not in a way of the things that you're used to.
Yeah.
If not, you will find some people because that's normal for you, or you will find counterpart things that are lacking in your life because you think that that void will fill. For example, if you find there's this the attachment theory, I like it. And other things that I try to talk always are based in evidence, based in
Yeah.
scientific evidence, not what I think, not a car that flips or everything. Not. I try to get my information from, like I told you, from people that I respect and people that are based on facts. They also give their opinion, obviously, because everyone has an opinion, but they're based on facts. The core are facts. And there's this part of the attachment that is called the anxious avoidant trap, that an anxious partner feels attracted subconsciously to an avoidant one. And the anxious one likes the independence of the avoidant, and the avoidant likes the sentiment part of the person
Mhm.
because that's something that they did not find when they were growing up, their
Yeah.
normality.
Mhm.
And I think that happens a lot for people. That has happened to me in different relationships, in other relationships. And people get to find what feels normal to them. I think that in a way that affects you, obviously, because since your attachment is insecure and the other person is also has an insecure attachment, if you don't work on yourself, and that goes for every single person, if you don't work on yourself and work on your traumas and work on your attachment issues and work on trying to be a better version of yourself, that eventually will come
Mm.
because relationships in general have stages. You've gone through different stages in your relationships since you're talking that you have in a long-term one.
Yeah.
I remember that I studied medicine in the same University of Marcela. That's the national one, the public one. That's the best.
Yeah.
And this one time I was starting my 20s. This reporter, it was near Valentine's, and she asked different people questions, but people didn't want to answer. And then she asked me, do you believe, because it was near Valentine's, do you believe in love at first sight?
Oh,
Out of the blue. And normal day, I wasn't in university or anything. And I told her, I think love is so much more complex that be defined by a look or by a moment in time. As I learned in medicine, and when I told her that, she just told me, that's insightful. That's what I think. And I thought that in the moment. And in time, I understood that that's what I think. When people are born to get attached and people are born to form bonds and everything, when in the different stages, the first stage is that in love phase, that
yes.
the
The honeymoon, the honeymoon phase that they say.
that's the second one. That's the second. The
Ah,
first
that's the
one,
second one. Okay.
yeah, that's like in the dating where you know someone and you just feel so infatuated and also
Ah,
so
well,
neat, also so beautiful, and you want to be your best yourself, and you become what persona. You show
yeah,
your best mask. You have your little box, and you just this mask I will put on. It depends how authentic you are. You will show your traits. If you're not a psychopath or something, but you will
yeah,
try to show your best trait, obviously, because you're trying to attract someone that you like. That if you are secure or you are avoidant or anything, doesn't happen because you're trying, because that's a
yeah.
ritual, right?
So you want to impress all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
of course.
first
Yeah,
impression. Yeah,
yeah, of course. And that's normal. That's our mating ritual. It's completely normal.
yeah,
And when that happens, everything's new, everything's better, and you can have a strong feeling because our body liberates different hormones and substances and chemicals that makes us want, okay, what's our purpose as a humankind? What's the purpose of every single species, including microorganisms like bacteria or information like viruses or parasites are also microorganisms, is to continue going on, continue to get the next generation and the next generation, and so on and so on and so on. And your body prepares, okay, this person you like is a potential partner that you can have children and you can continue the species. That's biological. You cannot control that. You
yes,
just feel it. You just feel it. And when that happens, everything's magical, everything. Then it goes the honeymoon phase. You're more steady, and then the person goes through, we try to know them, and if you go physical, it's more physical because you feel more comfortable with the person. And I'm talking people that want a relationship, right?
yes, yeah,
Not a relationship, not friends with benefits, not that. People that are committed or trying to be committed or try to understand that what they want at the end is being in a relationship,
yeah,
not just being a booty call or something like that. After that, there goes the power struggle, when the things that are so beautiful with a person, they're not so cute anymore.
yeah,
This think, are they good for me? So, and sometimes people, if that happens a lot with avoidance, they try to, not all of them, of course, like we talk, is a spectrum. They try to, in this part, if the attachment is triggered,
hmm,
because it's the part with the attachment string, because at the end everyone's so into you and everyone is so trying to be the best self, and if everything goes right or gets fluid, you will continue talking to that person. You may even formalize and have a relationship. It can be boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever you want to label it. But at that time, the chemicals that started, they start to diminish, they start to get lower, and people get more attuned with the other person, and with avoidance in that part, if the other person, if an anxious one, will want more closeness. And because when they were little, they understood that they need closeness so they can feel safe, because they are dependent on someone else to self-regulate their insecurity, their emotions. And the avoidant will think that no, my security is when it happens, when there's sentiments, where there's feeling, and you feel that, and that's scary, and that's not what I think. And in your mind, your nervous system tells you, well, that's not safe, because when I was little, when I tried to do that, nope, No, 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 no. That's not the way. And you go on a state of life or death. Like
Mm.
truly, like if there's a car that's going to impact you and you have to choose if you move or you stay, that life or death. That's the way that's not the way it is, but that's the way it feels.
Mm-hmm.
That's a survival mode. So when this happens, they try to find excuses for them to be independent, for them to find their own safe place. And they flee sometimes. They try to nitpick things that weren't so cute for the partner, not major things, but nitpick things that I don't like the way you dress, I don't like the way you speak, or speaking in a way of the tone of the voice, not the words that goes from their mouth.
Yeah.
Or anything they like, and they flee and they live. After that, there goes the committed parts where you say that you respect the boundaries for each other, and then you go from a steady one, and then so on and so on and so on. So every single couple goes through that. Every single couple goes through different phases in a relationship that will influence in the way if a steady one or not a steady one. In my case, I learned that I need to work on myself in a way that in my self journey of being more secure, that the actions of other people will not influence me, will not
Okay.
try to influence me because I cannot control that. And that's my journey in the parts. And that's my accountability in the parts. If you want to be the best partner, if you want to be there, you always have to be with persons that want to be in your life. That's the most important thing. That's self-love, that
Yes.
knowing that either way, you will find success, your relationship will go on, or you will find failure, you will be okay. Either way, because you have the best person in your life. In my case in Tinder, I had relationships with person that I met on Tinder. I started that because the pandemic started. And every single time that I felt that I was ready for a relationship, it was a gut feeling. There's this phrase that I absolutely love, and I truly believe with every single cell in my body. I trust my gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, your gastrointestinal system is a brain of its own. There's a lot of studies are going that. That's why when you feel something that's not going, you feel something deep down. You cannot tell when you see someone and you think, I
Mm-hmm.
don't trust the person, and
Yes.
something happened. That's your intuition. That's your gut feeling telling you something. And I trust that. And I've learned to trust it. That's become my motto actually recently, to trust my intuition, to trust that I'm trying to do, even though I will make mistakes and I may find failure in the ways that I will be okay. I felt that learning to hear my intuition, my gut feeling, and I become relationships in the pandemic. It was impossible, even though I was a doctor and I needed to go out to see patients. I, I felt that I was ready to start dating again. And that happened. I knew that Tinder was the most popular one. I saw that it was available for my country because it's super normal because there's,
Yeah.
in other countries, there's Bumble and Tinder and
And I think there's one for people who are in the LGBT, the alphabet community.
okay,
Grinder, yes,
yeah,
Grinder.
yeah,
There's a
whatever.
lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, wherever you're into, whatever you feel comfortable, and whatever you're attracted, which is absolutely totally fine. Yeah, and then I started talking to girls. I saw a video how to use it properly, and I matched with some girls. I felt comfortable because I lost weight. I felt comfortable within myself because I felt ready to be in a relationship. I never been a person that only wants one night stands or situationships. I want steadiness. I think everyone needs steadiness. Everyone needs a secure base. It's not fulfilling for me just to have one night stands or things like that at all. It has never been.
But I think that has to do a lot with generational thought. Because,
Absolutely. But
yeah, these days, there's a very few people that would agree with you on that. You know,
yeah,
most of the newer generations, they're looking for, you said it before, you gave examples of other things, but they're looking for immediate satisfaction.
yeah.
So that's part of it.
And the problem is And that's what we're talking about before. And absolutely true what you're saying. I know people in our generational lineage, in our generational is the part of life where they think like that.
Hmm.
Most likely they are emotionally unavailable.
Yeah.
They find what's normal to them, what's familiar to them. But yeah, sure. And I respect that. If you know a person, dating in general, in any sense, and you're trying to know the person, is trying to understand if that person is aligned of the way you're thinking, because I respect if people they, they feel happy just by having short-term relationships, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
that's fine.
If they found someone else that feels the same, absolutely, yeah. You have a long-term relationship. Imagine you find yourself with your partner and you wanted something steady, and your partner, even though your partner only wants something fast, doesn't last a lot, it doesn't form an attachment. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do. You can afford that. And people do that. Yeah, sure. When I started using Tinder, I met a lot of women, and in a way that we match, I find it attractive because Tinder is absolutely
Yeah.
external selection of people.
Yeah.
You can
It's like
see a
it's like
little,
a magazine. It's like a magazine.
yeah,
You
yeah,
flip,
absolutely,
you flip on the
yeah.
pages of a
Like,
magazine.
like going through TikTok or going through the reels on Instagram, and you say, "I like this post, I don't like this post," or
Yeah.
whatever, or you share it. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And that's our new normal. And in Honduras, it's a new normal, because I know in other countries it's like whatever. Like I understand what you're saying when you said about having uh, a fear. That's completely normal to have a fear, especially, and so sadly that in our countries there's a lot of femicide. There's a lot of
Yeah.
and that's horrible, obviously. And we need to be careful.
Mm.
We need to be careful, even in the information that we go public on social media, because
Yeah.
that's information that you're giving the world. It's not only, yeah, you can be like, I will give a persona on social media, but yeah, but you were at that restaurant. People
Yeah.
know that you go to that Starbucks, or you like that cafe, or that boulangerie, or whatever that you like. And you need to be careful with that. I had my doubts, obviously, because I thought, what kind of people will I encounter in this app? But since everyone was at home, safe, or trying to be safe because of COVID, I am incredibly more extrovert. I was extremely introvert. That's my self journey in that. And I always try to get out of my comfort zone,
Mm-hmm.
something completely out of my character, but I define my character. I define my character. My character is not defined by me. It's not the perception of someone else. It's the perception that I give myself. And that has happened to me in friendships, in my family, and especially in relationships. When you care more about the opinion of someone else than your own, you give that person power.
Yeah.
You
Definitely.
cannot give that kind of power. You will be vulnerable because the action of that person obviously will affect you. If you have your partner does something that triggers you or makes you feel bad, obviously you will feel bad. That's normal. Something else that you give your value based on someone else's interest.
Mm.
So I went into Tinder and I talked to some girls only one sex. I will give that straight up. They asked
They
me
were
like,
direct. They were really direct.
like, yeah, but I've encountered women like that before. So I know that happens. Obviously, women and men, they all love sex.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the some men. I find it funny. There's some men that they go through that. No, women don't watch porn. Fuck yeah, they do. Or women don't masturbate. Yeah, they do, because obviously it's normal. That's physiological. But we live in such a short-minded our
Yeah.
area in the part where I live currently, that people find it like a unicorn, like they found something, new information. No, it's true. Obviously, we're made for that. It's our
Yeah.
way. So tech is a way for us to continue the species, obviously. Our bodies are so incredible in human beings, look in human beings, that we get pleasure in sex, and And in some cases, the woman can get pregnant. The
Yeah.
pleasure comes in a way for our body to tell us, okay, you can do that. Will feel great and continue doing that because in a way you can, it's like a cheat. It's like a hack for our own bodies for us to do it. And yeah, it's completely normal. When women were talking like that, actually, I wasn't interested, and that's the truth.
Mhm.
Sometimes when I talk with my friends, they ask me that, and I tell them, no, but why didn't you do it? Because that's not fulfilling for me.
Mhm.
And they do not understand because people see the life through their own lenses.
Yeah.
And I started dating people, and I started talking to people, and I dated too. I dated too. So one was informal, and the other was formal. And in my experience, in a way, it's like knowing someone because you say, I am scared to finding someone that might kill me or
Yeah.
it's absolute and it's a true fear. It's completely
Yeah.
normal. And I totally relate in a way that I understand what you're saying because it's true. But that can happen as well if you go to a bar and know someone. You don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's a person, it's a mask. You don't know if that's you will talk to the next Dexter. You don't know that. Or the
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Or
you
the
don't know
next,
that.
the next Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh my God.
Oh, no, no. There is, by the way, I don't know if they have paused whatever. That is called My Hunter. Have you watched it on
No.
Netflix?
No.
Well,
Is it good?
probably for me, it's the best series that Netflix have ever produced. It's only two
Really?
seasons. Sadly, for David Fincher, is made Gone Girl, and I remember what movies. I remember what other movies, but it's truly amazing. It's about that. It's truly,
Yeah.
truly, truly.
Ah, I'll watch
Awesome.
it. I like.
Yeah, yeah. But like super good. And you can encounter that by being person to person because it all comes back to the facility for us to communicate. You can form attachment from text. You can
Yeah.
form attachment from video calls. How do you think long distance relationships work? I've been in long distance relationships, and that's the way that we attach. Sometimes you cannot be near the person that you are in that moment. And you have to find ways with the tools that you have for us to adapt. And that's our new normal. If people want to do it, there's a lot of people that I know that does it in the same way. People don't always talk about the things that they do because they might feel ashamed or
Yeah.
they might think the stigma, oh, you're just looking to get lucky. You're just looking to get a booty call or whatever. It's not the way. It depends on what you're looking. It depends on what you're looking. And that's in life in general. If I will continue using it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've learned so much from it. And I learned so much from the people that I've learned that I knew in the time that they were in my life. I think that more and more in our countries, development, third world countries, that will be normal as well because every single person has a cell phone. Sometimes the things that I hated, that I still hated as well, are the responsibility that some parents have with their children that they prefer to buy minutes for their phone or
Mm.
internet for their phone because okay, or buy a soda, uh, whatever that buy medicine for their children.
Mm. Yes. The
That
priorities are
that's
not there. Yeah.
the parents are not there, and every single person is trying to be connected because the phones are a way for us to get attached. It's a way
Yes.
for us to bond. How many times have you talked to someone that you care, your partner, your cousins, your sister, your parents, and you felt love, haven't you?
No, yeah.
You felt
I have actually, through the pandemic, I lived that with my partner. I
yeah.
lived it for 8 months. We were
Oh,
separated 8 months because of the pandemic.
yeah.
And the only thing that helped our relationship keep steady was social media. And that was helpful. I don't believe in like very detached relationships where you don't see someone. It's like that. I like to watch it too. That television show Catfish. I still can't
I,
believe there are people these days that
yeah.
fall for someone that they have never seen in a video call, for example. But
Yeah.
like you're saying, some people get attached through text messages. So
Yeah.
whatever suits them.
Yeah. It's our new normal. And we were younger because we're still obviously super young and super good looking. We use the phone in on hotel for us to connect to other people. And as well, we can use our memories.
Yeah.
We've used, in this case, our phone and video calls for us to connect, because we are in constant journey of trying to connect with people. And Tinder, or whatever you want to call it, or another app, will do that for you. Will give you opportunity, if you're willing, to find whatever you're looking for. It all
But
depends.
but in this case, Hugo, I want to ask you, because you said that you started using the app because of the circumstances that all of us had, which is the pandemic, right? We all went through that. It was difficult to just go outside.
Yeah.
Would you still prefer to use a platform like this one, like Tinder or a dating app, versus meeting someone the traditional way in person?
I can do both.
You can do
I
both.
one of the things that I like about myself, like I told you, I always try to get out of my comfort zone, is
Mhm.
that in all the things that says on the book, obviously when you're single, is that you always have to be confidence. True confidence is attractive in either way, not necessarily in a sexual way, but in a way that you want for you to be around a person. Because if you find a person, a friend or whatever, that you feel comfortable with, and you like the energy of the person, it's truly secure, you will find naturally attractive, because that's the way you are. That's biological. We cannot control that. That's just a feeling. That's a gut feeling. And the book says that you need to treat all women, in my case, that are heterosexual, or either way, if I was homosexual or whatever I will be into, you have to be the same with every single person as well. That you need to treat every person with the same respect, since the president of the company as the person that opens the door for you, because it's a human being. You have to show dignity. Everyone needs dignity, and the book says that you need to be kind and be yourself. And I've learned that I have that. I nourish that, my confidence, and talking to other persons, to other people, in a way, for just being myself. I talk to women, and I am just me. Things that if I show my mini version, my
Mhm.
little cute version, or even though the version that was when I was more of a little beast, he will be, they will be amazed. They will be astonished of all the things that I've accomplished, because I have truly changed myself, and I am proud of that change. And because I am proud of that change,
Yeah.
I think I am here talking, not for people to praise me, because that's not something that I'm looking for at all, but in a way that, in my empathetic way, I understand that people go through struggles, and meeting people either through an app or through personal, at the end is the same, because if you meet someone via internet, you need to find a way, be direct, be secure, and ask them out. So it's not what's the point. If whatever you like, if you just want to be something, to be formal or informal, you need to ask them out.
Yeah.
It's just
But
consent.
I think this is where you, like few percentage of the people who go in in those apps, can end up being in relationships. After I have friends that they have met through Tinder also, and they have been in long-term relationships now, and some of them even got married. So I do believe it works because of the examples I've seen. But I also have seen and noticed that there's a lot of people that go into these apps and they never portray their secure self. Like you, this is you. You are a very secure person. You know what you want. You know where do you want to go when you start talking to someone, whether, like you said, it's on an app or in person. But there's a lot of people that I feel like go in these apps and you realize that you're talking to a person through text messages, because I think that's I'm not updated with that right now, but I think most of the interaction is usually by messages, right? At first,
Yeah, yeah,
until
absolutely.
any of the parties decides to propose a meeting somewhere in person,
Or
perhaps.
give social media if you
Uh
want
huh.
to be more secure.
Yeah.
or they give directly the phone number of if you want to do direct date from the app,
Yeah.
you can do it. Yeah, but yeah, it's
A lot of
texting.
people start texting, and
Yeah,
the next step usually is sharing maybe the WhatsApp contact number
yeah.
or whatever.
WhatsApp or text
Yeah.
message. Yeah,
And then there's a lot of people that just continue texting the entire time.
yeah.
And when they
But what
decide
do you
to
think?
go, when they finally decide to make that video call or that phone call or meet in person, they are a totally different person because they were probably too shy and they can only express themselves through text messages.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting that there's people like that, that they can only express themselves when they write something and not in person or
I think that that space is absolutely relatable. What you're saying and absolutely true. There are people that have difficulties expressing themselves because of security. And like I told you, one of the things that I like, I have a friend, a true close friend, and she knew a person that she found super direct and super secure. And she was amazed about that. They only went like for 2 dates. Super, but the impact of the cost for him being so direct astonished her because that's not what she's used to.
yeah,
So when that happened, sometime before, they went out, they was pretty, whatever. But in text, the person show a very insecure part of themselves, of himself. She told me about that, and I told her that's it, like, because she's still so. Sometimes she's still so impactful about not the person. Because you're not impactful about the person. You're impactful about the situation that went with that
yeah,
person. That
mhm,
feeling. You don't remember the person. You remember the feeling that made you. Because sometimes when you're hurt with whatever person you are, you sometimes you think, I am mad at that person. I am mad with my partner or my father or my mother or a friend. You don't even sometimes remember why you're mad at, but you just remember the feeling, the
that you had. Yeah,
yeah, that they had because you remember that the way that they made you feel. And he acted really secure. And I told her he's not secure.
mm,
It's la persona. He acted secure. And true security comes from working on yourself. You cannot fake that. It's like
yeah,
you go through an interview and you say, yeah, I speak English, or yeah,
yeah,
I speak French or Mandarin and whatever. And yeah, I do it. Yeah, sure. And whatever the HR person that was in charge didn't ask you because she doesn't speak the language. But since in your resume, you have, oh, she speaks Mandarin or she speaks French, la la, whatever. Then the situation happens. I know that we have the need, so we have they speak those languages, and there's the
mm,
Indian person or the French one or whatever country he or he is, and they start talking, and you're like,
uh,
no, s'il vous plaît, whatever. You're talking
yeah,
like that. You cannot fake that. You cannot
yes,
fake that. People do that because that's what they're comfortable with, because they haven't worked with themselves. I've known people that the way that they show express emotions is through writing because they have difficulty verbalizing it. It's not
yes,
that they don't feel. It's not that they don't care. It's not that they have truly difficulty doing that. So what they do, they find a way, a medium for them to express themselves. That's art, right? What art? Obviously poems or books, but in a way, art is the interpretation of a painter, an author, or whatever, whoever he or she is, and expression the way they're feeling. And maybe the way they express their feelings is through that.
yes.
Remember that there is the love languages. Not every single
I love
person
languages.
has. Yeah, you have acts of service and words of affirmation and presence and
That's another good book. Have you read
yeah.
that? Yeah,
Which one?
Miguel Ruiz.
Miguel Ruiz. That's the name of the author.
Yes, the name
No,
of the author. Yeah, he has a book actually called The Love Languages.
no, I haven't heard of it. I
The,
will.
the
I
five
will
the five love
love
languages.
languages. Yeah, the physical. I will search for that because I really like that. I feel that I have something that I feel I have the five, but last time my therapist asked me which one I feel more comfortable with. I do the five, but I know person that they don't, the way that they show love or the way they show affection is through acts of service. That happens a lot to people that are avoidant, that since they don't like physical contact, or they are not so into giving presents or verbalizing how they feel, the way that they show love is for acts of service. I will do something for you. I will cook you this. I will do you this favor. And that doesn't make it less. It's just to understand that that's the way they are. There's this author, the no author, the I, other topic that I think that it's super interesting that we can talk in the future is about boundaries and especially non-negotiables. It's actually an amazing,
That's a
it's,
good topic, of course.
that's an
So you're,
amazing topic.
yeah, especially if you're in
And
a relationship already and you're exploring whether you're willing to give in, because those are sacrifices in some way that we have to make. Get out of our
yeah,
comfort zone and share with somebody else.
yeah.
Mm.
And
We're,
maybe the per
you're used to probably being alone sometimes for a while. That happened to me also. I spent a while by myself. I did not date for a long time. So I was very accommodated on what I wanted and what I knew I was comfortable with, from stupid things as where do you place your toothpaste, things like that. Those are the boundaries and sacrifices that you had to understand if you're willing to.
absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that I love that I talk in therapy is not for me, but in the perception of people. I know they were deriving here, but there's a preconception that for the people that want to get married, right? Or want to
Mm-hmm.
have something steady or something long lasting. There's this reel that I saw that she mentioned as well, my therapist, and she said that there's this woman, attractive woman, I saw it on Instagram, and she has a ring, a wedding ring. And every time she put the ring, she's in an amazing apartment with an amazing view and all so pretty. And then she started putting the ring, and it was like flashbacks, or she was teleported to another area by putting it, that she was mopping the floor, or she was doing and then she took it off and she went back to the place she was. And then she put it back again. She was doing laundry and et cetera, and so on, from the high value and everything. And she said that she ran in a country in the other therapy that she does, there's this preconception that if you get in a relationship, and in this case marriage, because like we talked, the problem with male mentality here, women think that they will become slaves, they will become a new
Mm.
persona, completely different, and a new persona that they will lose herself, and she will have to start doing what she wants, and she will have to start cleaning and start cooking and start doing laundry and doing the dishes, whatever. And
Mm.
then she asked exactly what I thought. And she told her, do you live by yourself? Yeah. Do you do that on your own? Yeah. So what's the difference? The only difference is that you will have someone that you will divide those responsibilities with.
Exactly.
That's the only difference. Do you cook for yourself? Yeah. Do you mop your floors and clean your stuff? Yeah. Do you
Mhm.
do laundry? Yeah. And so you're a functional human. Absolutely. Yeah. And there's the counterpart, because sometimes that's the part of non-negotiable and whatever that people talk, that men think that because they go through their mom to
A
the
relationship.
partner, the
Yeah.
relationship, and in this case, something more formal and getting married, that they, the mom does everything for him and the wife has to do the same. But that's what's dating for. You need to
Not
know that person. That's completely
not
different. But
not in these times anymore.
no, exactly. But even though, if the person is willing, if the person is willing to do that because she wants to stay home, whatever, he wants to stay home because dynamic change, absolutely, and normal is so fluid, and you do that. And when men do that, when men clean, when men cook, when men do that, they see you like you're a unicorn. They see you as something
Yeah.
magical. And I do that with my relationships as well. Last time I was at work and some nurses were talking to a doctor, and the doctor he told her, yeah, I do my laundry and yeah, I cook. And they were so amazed. They were so profoundly amazed. Like they saw, so, oh my God, doctor. Or when they see a father take the baby,
Yeah.
his or her children, yeah, to the doctor, oh my God, he's so thoughtful. He's taking care. No, bitch. No, dude. No, whatever.
No,
That's your
that's normal.
responsibility.
That should be
Yeah,
normal.
that's you being a functional human adult. That's what you're supposed to do. That
Yeah.
doesn't change. There's a photo that I absolutely love this photo. It's a cartoon, and the couple, the girlfriend is sitting on a computer, on a laptop, whatever, on a desk, and then the partner is hugging her. And then she looks up, and the quote says, the person that you love will help you fulfill your dreams, go your dreams. They will not be a step back. They will not be an ankle. They will not be a stone in your wall
Yeah.
for you to that. They will help you develop be that part. A relationship doesn't have, you have to be individual in your relationship. You have to have your own persona and have your own hobbies and everything that's being self-soothing for yourself, that being secure with yourself. And you also have your partner that you have built something with him or her, and you share that. You share your fulfillments. You share them,
Yeah. Exactly.
but everything else will be for you to make negotiations and make and know your boundaries and know everything that it's important for you for found if that's the person that you want. And I think that's obviously that's really important in a super superficial way that we're talking about this part.
Yeah.
But
We started already a new episode. Just kidding. No, we can definitely talk about this further because it is definitely an interesting topic. I get a lot of questioning in my own relationship from people outside as well. Just to give you a quick example, the fact that me and my partner are usually, due to job circumstances, apart from each other's more often than the regular couples do, maybe.
Mm.
I find a lot of people asking me a lot, how do you do it? Or are you okay? I had somebody tell me once, like, he was gone for 1 month because he had to work somewhere else in another country.
Mhm.
And I'm totally fine with that. But that person was, are you okay? Do you need me to introduce you to somebody in the meantime so you don't feel so lonely? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Who said that I needed help with that in the first place? And then, second, what is the matter? Is you need to start learning to trust the person you're with, number one. If not, you shouldn't be with them. And second, ah, normal is fluid. For us, this is normal. We get along well and it works for us. So whatever works for you.
Your negotiables and non-negotiables, absolutely. What do you think the person that asked you, are you okay? Why do you think he or him asked you that?
They're probably insecure about something in their relationships.
Yeah.
And something might make them anxious about not being close to their partner.
That
Might be.
sounds like that sounds like codependency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I think this is a wrap up for this first episode, which ended up being quite extended, but I enjoyed every single part of it. So I don't regret it at all. I want to thank you, of course, for being here with me today, for participating, for accepting my invitation, and for also proposing to participate because this was something that came from you as well. I don't regret the fact that you did. Actually, I am surprised about everything that you have shared today. That has been so insightful, like I said before. We will continue speaking for sure. We have a second episode that we're going to work with. But for now, I want to thank you again. I want to know it's okay for us. You're going to let me know if it's okay for us to share your contact in the description of the episode. So people, if they want to reach out, some people might be inspired about what you said today and might want to reach out. You let me know. And which is
Sure.
your preferred form of contact that people can resource to when trying to contact you. And for the people who are listening or watching, I want to encourage you to follow us on social media. As you know, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and we're also in TikTok, which, like I said, is not my best cup of tea in social media, but we're doing the work. We're on Instagram. We have a Facebook page as well. Thank you, Hugo. And everybody else, stay safe, stay tuned. Have a great day. Y ahora lo paso.